on an all-new Dr. Phil. He had guns.
We did not know it.
It's your job to know it.
He brought to a party.
One of the gang guys takes that gun, puts it to his head.
They shot at him as he was leaving.
They say their son's dangerous behavior
He crashed the car into a telephone pole.
began after he lost his friend.
You found him.
I go into his room, he's dead.
Do you hold yourself accountable for this? Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Well, Sandy wrote in desperate for help with her 22-year-old son, Dylan, who she says has been in a downward spiral since his best friend died of an overdose despite Dylan's attempts at CPR. Now, Sandy says he is explosive, short-tempered, emotional, and has lost over 15 pounds and looks, in her words, like a skeleton. Now, Dylan barely leaves his room because he's just, quote, not feeling it. Now, Sandy says he sleeps most of the time, and she is afraid to wake him up before noon. Take a look.
Hi, Dr. Phil. It's 12 o'clock on Thursday, and I'm just filming because Dylan is still asleep. I'm trying to be very quiet because I don't want to wake him up. Sorry. I woke him up.
Dylan's stepfather, Thomas, claims Dylan's been a horrible child since he could walk and is using grief as a crutch to be lazy, disrespectful, and abusive. Thomas says Dylan is just immature, that he hangs out with high school kids, has wrecked his car, and has even been involved in a gang shooting.
Dylan's behavior is absolutely unpredictable. He can snap.
If I want to do something, it's going to be done. If I'm going to get pushed to do something, I'm going to fight back. I'm not going to do it.
Dylan lost his friend nearly 2 years ago to a drug overdose. He found him and tried to perform CPR when he was clearly gone, and that has ruined him. Dylan has lost at least 20 pounds in the last 6 months. Dylan is 6'5" and weighs 155 pounds. His ribs are showing, his collarbone is pronounced, he has dark circles under his eyes. Dylan is malnourished.
Dylan is confrontational with me, with his mother. He yells and screams and rages. He's volatile.
I don't need help. I don't need pushing. I don't need nagging.
Dylan right now sleeps most of the day, stays up most of the night.
He's on the phone and video games till 3 and 4 in the morning.
Dylan only leaves his room when he needs something from the kitchen or he needs to go to the bathroom.
Dylan's 22 years old. It's time to man up, get out of bed and get out of my house. I am definitely frustrated with this situation. I had a confrontation with Dylan 3 years ago. I came home and I heard the bomb from Dylan to his mother, and she made him pack his stuff and go.
He's trying to get his things out of the house, and River, our dog, was in the way.
He kicked the dog and said, "Get the away."
Thomas became angry and shoved him up against the wall and grabbed him by the chin and mashed his head against the door.
I told him that he was never to kick our dog or any other dog.
I have no idea why they think I kicked the dog. I love that dog. He's only saying I kicked the dog to justify his actions, choking me and hitting me.
Thomas definitely does not want Dylan around, and I would never discard my son.
This situation definitely me off.
Okay, it's good to meet you. I wish we were talking about something else.
Us too.
You guys have been very forthcoming with us. We've asked you a million questions.
Yes, sir.
You've answered them all.
Yes.
And we did ask you a lot of questions, right?
Sure did.
Yeah. And so I've read every word you said. I've listened to some of it because we audio tape even when you're on the phone. And I've gone through, listened, and I pulled out some comments that you've made about him, so I kind of knew what your mindset was. I wrote some of those down. Let's take a look at those. I just kind of scattered them out because there were more than I could put on a list. You said he's an ass.
I did.
You said he's a defiant child. He has no skills. He's a horrible kid by the time he could walk. Grief is a crutch with him. The kid is danger, potential. He could kill people. All the warning signs of someone who could hurt people. Force him to do what he's told. No concept of what it would take to make a life for himself. Going to always lean on somebody. I couldn't find anything in there that was positive or affirming that you had to say about him.
Well, when you put it like that, it does look that way.
Was there any other way to?
Not really, not really. I understand what you're saying.
There is no positive. There is no positive.
You cannot challenge the behaviors that you're condemning. There's no question about that. I can't argue with you about that. But the only thing I agree with is your hairdo. I mean,
Okay.
We're together there, and then we split at that point, because I don't think you're going to get where you're going with your approach.
Obviously, what I'm doing is not working. And I've gotten frustrated, as you can tell. I mean,
well, let's look at the behaviors you guys are dealing with, because I made a list of those too, because you come by this honestly. The frustration I get. He refuses chores, right?
Absolutely.
He plays video games, sleeps 13 hours. He's just plain lazy. I mean, he'll agree he's lazy. He says he doesn't do anything until he's ready, and he's not ready. He works sparingly, says he's not feeling it. And you say he lives in a fantasy world.
He absolutely lives in a fantasy world.
And what's the fantasy about? What is his fantasy? How does he see himself that's not real?
His fantasy is that he is a successful 22-year-old young man who doesn't need any help. He's happy doing exactly what he's doing because he thinks that's what all 22-year-old people do.
And you say he's verbally abusive with you.
He cusses.
Calls you names.
He cusses
Bitch,
a lot.
blank you. He's kicked the dog. Got a pistol and an AR-15 to a party. Got the gun taken away, held to his head, robbed, and they shot at him in his car as he was leaving.
They did.
Here's a bullet hole in the car, and they blew out the tire and shot a hole in the car.
They did.
Right at the gas tank.
They did.
Could have blown up.
Could have.
Probation for marijuana possession, crashed the car into a telephone pole, and we're not talking a fender bender here. We can take a look at the picture.
He completely totaled the car.
Yeah, I mean,
and right behind the police car, that's the stop sign that he pulled out from, took a right, and said some type of animal ran in front of him, and he went to swerve, and he hit the gas instead of the brake.
Yeah, I hate it when that happens.
Yeah.
Dropped out of college, and he's hanging with high schoolers.
Absolutely.
Couldn't walk the stage with the other students at high school graduation. Why not?
Because he was forbidden from being on school property.
Because?
Because he had been sent to alternative school.
Because?
Because he had videotaped some students and posted it on social media, and apparently the school was adverse to that.
Okay, what the hell is he doing with a 9mm and an AR-15? I mean, he's...
Neither one of us
describe
knew it.
him as being emotionally unstable.
We did not know it.
And it's your job to know it. He's living in your house.
Not
It's
when
your
he had the
job to
guns.
know.
Not when he had the guns.
No.
He got the guns.
You don't know that this kid is armed in your house.
No.
He was not
No.
living with us when he had those guns. He started to live with us after this happened, when the guns were taken from him and he was shot at.
You didn't know he had guns.
His father knew. We did not know.
Oh, geez, what could go wrong here?
Had I known Dr. Phil, he would not have had those guns. My son is so emotionally immature, and he's so naive in the ways of the world.
Because this unraveled because he was showing off at a party. He wanted to show the guns to somebody.
He was at his vehicle. According to him, he was leaving the party, and one of the fellows that walked up, he thought he knew. So he goes to take the gun out to say,
Are you
look what I have.
excusing
I'm
this?
absolutely not. I'm relaying to what he says. Now, I can't speak to what happened because I wasn't there. This is what he says to me. This is insanity. It's absolute insanity.
This guy comes over, he's never seen before. And he says, oh, I thought you were a friend of mine. And the guy says, well, can I look at it? And he gives him the AR-15, loaded, hands it to him. Then he realizes that there's a problem. So he's got his other gun in his pocket, goes to pull that out. Another one of the gang guys comes up, takes that gun from him, puts it to his head. Now he's got a kid with an AR-15 on one side and a gun to his head on the other. He breaks away, jumps in the car, takes off, and the guy empties the gun at him while he's leaving. And we heard about this afterwards. We didn't know he had guns. I mean, we knew he had problems, but we did not know he had guns. I'm not saying it's as an excuse, but I'm telling you we didn't know he had the guns.
Yeah, gotcha. Coming up, Sandy says she's scared her son is going to get angry with her and storm off the stage today. Maybe he will. She's certainly afraid of it, I can tell you that. Dylan is here to tell his side of the story. So will he, or will he prance off? We'll find out. We'll be right back.
I have thought about wanting to fight Thomas. Thomas says, if you cuss in front of your mama like that again, I'm gonna come beat your ass. Like, bro, you're not beating my ass. It's an old man, come on. You're one step away from us just brawling.
And later,
You might as well call me a bitch.
is that a way to talk to your mother?
No,
We have a terrible dynamic between us. I'm a smother. I'm not the mother, I'm the smother.
The biggest issue in my marriage is Dylan.
When Thomas says something ugly about Dylan, it's a reflection on me because Dylan is 50% of my DNA. So therefore, it's almost like an attack on me. Unfortunately, Thomas doesn't really care for Dylan, and that's hard. Thomas definitely takes a more tough love approach with Dylan than I do.
I've had enough of it. I would rather have him out of the house.
I'm definitely stuck in the middle between Thomas and Dylan.
Well, Sandy says her husband Thomas and her son Dylan never got along, and Thomas acts unsympathetic and unforgiving. She says he needs to understand that Dylan may have PTSD after being involved in a gang incident.
6 months ago, Dylan was at a house party when a group of about 15 men came walking up to the house. He thought he recognized one of these people and said, hey, come over here, let me show you what I got.
Dylan walked around and had a 9mm Glock in his waistband, stuck in his pants for everybody to see, and an AR-15 in the car.
They all turned out to be gang members. The guy said, let me see your gun. Dylan didn't know what to do.
Another gang guy comes around behind him, grabs Dylan the pistol and puts it up next to his head.
And said he was going to kill him. Dylan ran and got into his car. And as he drove away, they shot at him and hit his car right above the gas tank and blew the tire out. He reported it to the police. The two individuals were arrested. This incident definitely ramped up Dylan's depression, anxiety, panic attacks. Him being at that party with guns is another example of him being immature and naive in the ways of the world.
Well, the gun incident is just one of many upsetting events that Dylan says he has experienced recently. Here's a look at what he has to say in his own words.
I get angry at my mom and Thomas if they continue to push me to do things when I'm not ready for that. Every time I'm around Mom or Thomas, I just don't feel welcome. I feel like I'm a burden on them. My mom will bitch at me the most. Sometimes it's just like, can you just please give it a rest? The worst thing I'll do is give a snide remark, just to be a smart ass. I often use foul language. I don't regret it. I have thought about wanting to fight Thomas before. Thomas says, if you cuss in front of your mama like that again, I'm gonna come beat your ass. Like, bro, you're not beating my ass. It's an old man, come on. You're one step away from us just brawling. My friend Bryce died in 2016. I get flashbacks every day, just walking in the room and seeing him. I have a ton of anxiety, and I have panic attacks all the time. A week after he died, my mom was like, you need to get a job, and it's like, bro, come on. I can't even get out of bed. It's just like the train derailed, and it's not getting back on. I want pressure off of my shoulders from Mom and Thomas. I need to deal with myself without their harassment.
Dylan, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How do you feel about being here today, and what are you hopeful to accomplish?
I feel good about being here today.
Good.
I'm looking to find a solution so we can all just, be together without, any like fights. I want to be a solid family again.
Yeah. You're 22. You're a young man. Robin and I raised 2 boys. So I've they're past 22 now, so I've been through this twice. These are my 2 boys, Jay and Jordan. How do you think you're doing?
I could be doing a lot better. I'll say that.
What the hell were you doing at a party with 2 loaded guns?
I went immediately from work right to the party. So they were in there for that reason. I didn't have them like, I'm going to shoot this party up,
And you got them out of the trunk. Why?
It was a mistaken identity. I thought it was one of my buddies, and he comes over, he's like, can I see it? And I was like, yeah, sure. I learned from that experience. I don't have any guns currently. And
that's probably best, because apparently they take them away from you and shoot at you with them. So that's better that you not have them. Now, they're frustrated that you don't do certain things around the house. I pulled out some of the excuses you have for your behavior. You say, I'm awful at making beds, so you just don't do it. I don't like doing chores, so you just don't do them. I do not know what career goals are yet. I didn't finish college because of $10,000 in debt. I'm going through one heartbreak after another, struggling with grief, partially blame myself for the friend's death. I don't know what to do. Drinking helps.
I don't think that I said that, because that's not the truth.
Yeah, I have it recorded.
Ugh, man.
You can't get away with that one.
I don't think Thomas understands.
Okay. The way it's made out to be, it's not like that. I try to put the bed together to make it look nice. And
Dr. Phil, he puts blankets on top of the bed and sleeps in the blankets so he doesn't have to make the bed.
But why do I put the blankets on the bed?
Because he insists on having the dog on the bed, which the dog's not allowed on the furniture, but he does it anyway.
Coming up, Dylan says the only person who has his back is his biological father. So why isn't Dylan living with him? We'll hear what he has to say next.
How can this kid thrive if that's what he's up against?
You're not there every day. If someone stood up in your house and saying disrespectful things to you, you wouldn't accept it.
And later, losing your friend has been a major impact on you?
It's affecting me right now.
You found him.
I go into his room. He's obviously not there anymore.
Did you try to revive him?
Of course.
Do you hold yourself accountable for what happened to him?
I believe at this point, Dylan is using the tragic death of his friend as a crutch at times.
This is what he told me. Mom, I wake up thinking about it. I go to bed thinking about it.
Now it's been well over 2 years, and I still see him posting things about this on social media. I don't know whether he's crying out for attention or whether he really feels that way, but at some point you have to move forward with your life.
Well, Dylan says his stepdad, Thomas, does not understand the grief he went through when his friend died and only talks to him when he's doing something wrong. Now, Dylan says his father, Don, loves him unconditionally, but even Don says it's a bad idea for Dylan to own guns. He's acting police chief in his town, and so he is going to join us via Skype. So, Don, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Don, you've been listening to what we've been talking about so far, right?
I sure have.
First, let me just give you the opportunity to add anything or respond to anything that's been said so far.
Thomas's comments that you posted on the board, I mean, that could have been the end of the show. I mean, how can this kid exist or survive or thrive if that's what he's up against. I mean, whether you like it or not, when you married his mother, this is your stepchild. And it's just disgusting that that's your mindset.
Given that you assess this to be a toxic condition for him, one in which you believe that he cannot flourish, why is Dylan not with you?
He absolutely has the choice to be with me, so that's a great question. I've encouraged it. His home life is, how accurate it is, I don't live there, so I don't know, but it's described essentially as a prison. He is not doing well.
Well, if it's a prison, the inmates have taken over because he's kind of running the prison.
And you're not there every day. You don't live with the behavior every day. You don't live with the outbursts.
But he has
every
lived with me
single
for years,
day.
so he knows
and
me.
the disrespect. And if someone stood up in your house that was not your child, but you were responsible for at 22, stand up and saying disrespectful things to you, you wouldn't accept it. You wouldn't accept it in your house. You wouldn't accept it in your everyday life.
I probably wouldn't, but I would show this person who's my son love and compassion and empathy.
I do
and
show that to my
realize
son.
he is
I
in
show
a
my son
terrible,
that every day.
He is in a terrible mindset.
Can we agree that this family is dysfunctional at this point?
Yes.
That it's not working?
100% we
And
are
my
dysfunctional.
biggest concern is that you're okay with this dysfunctional family unit. You're saying, I'm good.
Honestly,
Where I'm 22, I'm okay with where I am. I'm living with my mother. I'm telling her she's a bitch, and we're going back and forth.
To be fair, I've never called her a bitch.
Now, does he drop the bomb on me every other sentence? Yes. He might as well have called me a bitch.
Okay. Is that a way to talk to your mother?
No, but she was being pushy, and I got upset.
Okay, but means forget what I just said. I'm now going to tell you what I really mean. You said no, but.
So the
I
answer
said,
no.
is it the way you talk to your mother? No, but she pissed me off. So what you really mean is, yeah, if you make me mad, then it's okay.
No, I don't agree with that. So
We have
therefore,
a
the
terrible,
answer is no.
we have a terrible dynamic between us. I'm a smother. I literally am a smother. Still at 22, I'm not the mother, I'm the smother. I am worried about what's happening with him.
We're going to take a break. Thomas says enough is enough with his stepson. He says Dylan has no structure, and Sandy allows him to get away with anything he wants. So what do we do here? I mean, what's the answer to this? Well, I think I know exactly what needs to happen, and I'm going to bring in some reinforcements as well. We'll be right back. Closed captioning provided by...
Sandy definitely enables Dylan's behavior. I believe Sandy coddles and babies Dylan.
I guess I do coddle him. Instead of being the mother, I was the smother.
He gets away with murder.
Now, I've decided to, as I said, call in some reinforcements today, so I want to introduce a very good friend of mine, life coach Mike Baer. Now, Coach Mike, as I call him, has helped a laundry list of A-list celebrities and others get their lives on track from a life coach standpoint. Demi Lovato actually credits Coach Mike with saving her life when she had hit rock bottom and was totally stuck. And I know Demi, and she is very sincere about that. Now, he is joining forces with me to bring his style of behavioral change to some of our guests, like Dylan. Take a look.
A big round of applause for these two wonderful individuals who are making big change in the world, Demi and Mike.
I wanted to talk a little bit about a behind-the-scenes superstar named Mike Baer.
My name is Mike Baer, but people call me Coach Mike.
If you don't know Mike's name yet, you probably do know some of his famous clients, most notably Demi Lovato.
Everyone has a story. For a celebrity, their story is more in the public eye, so it may be a little more challenging, to be honest.
The first time I met Mike, he just made everyone laugh, and I think that's part of his charm, is he makes you feel very comfortable. He doesn't make you feel like you're in therapy. He pulls out things that you never thought you would want to share.
My calling is helping people find the freedom to be their best self.
I've been in sports my whole life. And every time something happens in sports, you get hurt, you hurt your arm, you hurt your leg, they all get therapy for it. But no one works on the most important muscle that there is, which is what's behind your rib cage. Making my heart feel better is really what Coach Mike does best.
I picked up drugs again and started spiraling out of control. So the very next day, this very large man showed up at my house. That person was Mike Bayer.
I think Mike can help others by sharing his knowledge from his experiences. I think it's really important that people listen to him because he knows what he's talking about.
Debbie credits you with saving her life.
She saved her own life. I was just fortunate to be a part of that process.
Tell me the philosophy, the mission statement behind Cass Centers.
Cass Centers' tagline is freedom to be your best self. The work we do is about being thinking partners to help people find themselves. We work on our minds, our bodies, our spirits. We'll be in a better place. We'll be the right resources for our friends. So how'd you end up here?
I've been through recovery in different aspects, and they talked about you, and I'm like, okay, I'll try it.
I love what I do because I think seeing people change is remarkable. I look around and I see what we've created. It makes me feel incredible. It makes me feel like we're making a difference. It's inspiring for me.
Well, Coach Mike, you've been listening to everything here. You and I have been talking about this and talking about Dylan. So I'm going to give you a minute to kind of weigh in before we start here. What do you want to say?
Thanks, Dr. Phil, for having me. I think what I want to maybe say is, Dylan, where in your life today do you feel like you have purpose?
When I find it, I'll let you know.
And why do you think you don't have purpose today?
Just after everything that's happened over the past 2 years, just it's kind of hard to like to find something to like. What am I trying to say? To like live for, I guess. Like not like suicidal, but like just find a reason, some type of, like you said, purpose, so I can move on with my life and be productive.
Sandy says that Dylan is knee-deep in grief. It's been 2 years. Now, grief is a process. Has 2 years passed, or has Dylan done 1 month 24 times in a row? That's the question we're going to deal with when we come back. Closed captioning provided by...
Dylan is very immature and naive.
I think Dylan's 22 going on 12. He still hangs around with high school kids. I'm talking about 15, 16-year-old kids. He is extremely immature.
Dylan lives in a fantasy world. If he had to run a household, he would think that the water would just automatically be on, the electricity would be there, things kind of take care of themselves. I am absolutely worried about Dylan being on his own.
Well, I've asked life coach Mike Bayer to be here, and we're talking about how to change this family dynamic, because this isn't a Dylan problem. This is a family problem, and I want to talk about a couple of things first. I said that losing your friend has been an impediment to you.
When I'm with them, it's kind of like, you need to move past this. You need to go out and be productive. Go do this.
It's not just like that. I've never just said, you just need to get over this. You just need to...
You have.
No, I said you need to put one foot in front of the other, and you have a lot of hard work to get yourself going forward instead of staying backward.
Understand, though, like...
No, I don't.
Well,
exactly.
That's
so,
grief.
All right, you guys argue at home. You can do that without me. Let me ask you something. Do you not say that this is still a major impact on you?
It's affecting me right now. Like,
yeah, you found him, and he had lost consciousness at the point that you found him, correct? Tell me what happened.
He was a good-hearted kid who just got into the wrong stuff. That day, he had taken a mixture of pills and alcohol. I heard the phone ringing because we were at my house. It was his phone. I woke up. I was like, why isn't he answering? So I go into his room, and he's just like he's obviously not there anymore, like not unconscious. He's dead. And of course, the phone call is his mom. So I tell her mom, like, hey, your son's not breathing. And past that, like, I don't really know.
Did you try to revive him?
Of course, did everything I could.
Do you hold yourself accountable for what happened to him?
There should have been no way he should have ever been in that position.
So you think you should have been a better friend? I've dealt with loss personally. I've dealt with a lot of people that have dealt with loss in every walk of life. And one thing I've learned for certain is that the length and depth and breadth of your grieving does not reflect how much you cared about the person. I mean, somebody that grieves for 2 years didn't love that person more than somebody that grieved for 6 months. They just do it differently. And I've also learned that although people take the process in different ways, if you're still in the position you are after 2 years, then that grief has morphed into depression.
That's why I'm here, because I'm stuck mentally where I'm at, and I don't know what to do.
And that's why people like us are here, because it's like walking through the forest and somebody's down in a deep, dark hole. I can't help you by getting down in the deep, dark hole with you, but I can help you by being up here where I can move around, go get a rope, get a stick, get help, do something. And it doesn't help if I'm in exactly the same position you are. And that's why it helps to have a coach that can work with you daily that sees things differently. You need to become the change agent in your own life. What are 3 goals you could have today?
Get up at a reasonable hour.
Well, you're already up, so we're talking about
I'm saying,
today.
like,
No,
like
we're
if we're
talking about
starting.
today. You know, Mike, you've been there with these folks. What do you and I have talked about, what do you think he needs to do?
I think it starts off with how are you greeting the day to day. Like, you know, we watched the video of you sleeping in, which I get, but it's more about what time are you getting up, and let's set some goals for the day. So if you set 3 goals every day you get up, and you cross off at the end of the night for the next 30 days, your life will change.
Oh, come on, let's do it. Let's do 3 goals. Okay. I mean, because what Mike's saying is that's 90 goals that you're going to have over the next 30 days. What are 3 goals you could have today?
Get up at a reasonable hour.
Well, you're already up, so we're talking about
I'm saying,
today.
like,
we're talking about today.
I guess maybe instead of eating like go eat a good lunch or something.
Okay, and you don't do that, so you know that's a start.
Not for the lack of
I don't really like vegetables.
Well, okay. So, but you know that's part of maturing. You know, when we're kids, we say, "Why should I do it?"
That guy up there doesn't really like vegetables either.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll deal with him another day. Okay. All right. What's another goal you can have today?
Not pick a fight. Maybe like
avoid. I'm liking that.
Avoid any conflict at all costs.
Okay. Not conflict, family-wise. So you're not going to conflict. And, you know, here's the thing. You don't have to do it. You can avoid conflict. Just not conflict with anybody, you know, not with your dad, not with your stepdad, not with your mother. Just, you don't have to. It takes 2 to conflict. You don't have to. You just say, I made a goal. I'm not going to do it today. So what else could you do?
3rd goal, get a picture with Dr. Phil.
All right. Okay.
Hey, you told me you'd help me achieve these, right?
Damn right. All right. If you have 3 goals every day, that's 90 goals in a month, and you've had none for the last 30 days. So, I mean, that is a shift in priority, a shift in change. Correct. And you'll start thinking about that and making a difference. That's what you're talking about, Mike, right?
That's what I'm talking about, because purpose comes from how much am I giving to this world versus taking. And eventually your goals are going to change. A week from now, you're going to have totally different goals because you're going to say to yourself, oh yeah, I'm eating a healthy meal every day. I'm not fighting with my parents. You may need to get a photo with a different doctor, but you start simple. And Dr. Phil is right, as small and as simple as this seems, your life will change. And at night, it's about a reward system. So you go and you cross off, I ate a healthy meal today.
I did it, yeah.
And it's true.
I see what you're saying.
And once you start feeling that, you start feeling a bit of purpose.
Yeah, and look,
I see what you're saying. I agree with that.
This for you, like if you don't have a full-time job, then you work 20 hours and you spend the next 30 hours in that week looking for a job. And you wake up, if you had a full-time job, you would wake up every day at 7 o'clock, you would take a shower, you would get dressed, and you would be out of there like a shot. Then you behave your way to success. You can get a life coach right there with them that you can work with and through, correct?
Correct. If we're all trying to fix and change, everyone's a part of the system. And everyone has a part in the system. And mom, instead of being a smother, she needs to pick up a journal. And she needs to find a group of women who have gone through similar things and are empowering themselves. And she needs to start to find her own community. And so that the two of you can start to have some nice dinners out, can hang out, not worrying about Dylan. It would be a much better situation, right? So we're gonna have a life coach work with your family. Is everyone's on board to work with the life coach?
Absolutely. Anything to help him be successful and happy and healthy, I would, if I had to walk on water, I would learn.
But for you too.
We're going to take a break. Come back. We're going to put these dots really close together. We'll be right back. Closed captioning provided by... Okay, I'm back. We're talking to a family, and Dylan is the squeaky wheel, but this isn't a Dylan problem. This is a family problem. I've got Coach Mike here, Mike Baer, and you're talking about getting a life coach that you can work with and through that can be with Dylan and with this family on a day-to-day basis, right?
That's correct.
And Anthony Haskins, our resource director, is involved, and we're going to get this going right now. I'm not talking about 30 days from now. That's our goal, is to get this done right now, and so we can start putting things together. But the important thing is that you're honest with yourself about a few things, and I want to be real straight up about number one.
Please do.
You're doing what I consider to be some high-risk behaviors. This wrecking your car, guns to a party, things like this, over any period of time, these are high-risk behaviors which tell me that you don't value yourself enough. People that value themselves, like if you had a child, you wouldn't treat the child that way. You wouldn't put the child at risk. And when you're doing high-risk behaviors, it tells me that your worth to yourself is not where it should be, and I want that to change. I want you to say, I'm not going to put myself at risk.
I 100% agree with that statement.
You have to value yourself more, because if your personal truth is damaged, if your self-worth is damaged, then you create the results you think you deserve. And if you think, I'm of no value, so I don't deserve to treat myself carefully, then you won't, and you'll wind up getting hurt or killed or whatever. Don't do that. Don't do that. And that's going to be a top priority that we're going to work on here. And you guys have to be supporters here, and support is not always telling him what he wants to hear. And it's also not kicking him to the curb. You can't enable him for all this time and then all of a sudden say, well, sorry I crippled you, get out. We have to have a process here and work on this where he wants to do this, and I think he does, and I'm proud of you for being here and leaning into this, because you didn't have to do that.
I can tell you're a nice guy, you're just lost. So we're going to get you a roadmap.
Right.
All right?
All right. Okay. I want to thank all of my guests today, and a special thank you to Coach Mike Baer, founder and CEO of CAST. For more information about today's show, you can log on to drphil.com and tell us what you think on Facebook and Twitter. We'll see you next time. Thanks,